Here's my review of the Knuckles series to get ready for Sonic 3. As I'm recording this and probably posting this, I will be seeing Sonic 3 tomorrow, and I cannot be more excited. Like, I genuinely believe that there hasn't been a movie that I've been more excited for in my life. Okay. Alright, actually, I take that back. I was probably more excited to see the FNAF movie and the Mario movie last year, but this movie, Sonic 3, is a very close third, alright? And now we have to talk about the Knuckles series. The Knuckles series, it suffers from the same problems that the first Sonic movie did. The fact that it didn't really feel like a show about Knuckles the Echidna. It just kind of felt like another road trip movie, and Knuckles happens to be there where this random dude is driving to a bowling tournament in Vegas. However, I do believe that the show is solid enough. And it definitely did serve its purpose. That purpose being that the wait between Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 has been the longest wait that we've gotten between Sonic movies. Where the first one came out like mid-February of 2020, and Sonic 2 came out in early April of 2022, and Sonic 3 releases tomorrow, which is mid to late December 2024. However, the Knuckles show released in late April of this year, 2024. And I really, really do appreciate Paramount being the absolute chads that they are and going out of their way to create a show all about Knuckles just to hold us over until the big movie comes out tomorrow. Kicking off with episode 1, I honestly think that this episode was probably the best episode, unfortunately. It just peaked in the beginning. It happens sometimes. I loved seeing Sonic, Tails, and Maddie in this episode, and I especially loved seeing the introduction of Patrick Kamak in this episode, which I was not expecting him to be in this show. Oh my gosh, it blew me away. But the thing is, the way they used him in this episode was really, really lazy. Like, he just showed up, told Knuckles, hey, train this dude named Wade to be a warrior, and left. That's it. That's all he did in the first episode. He does come back in episode 4, which he serves a little bit more importance, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Regardless, I do like Wade in this episode. And in general, I do like Wade as a character. I just feel like we just got way too much of him throughout the course of the episode. Like, when the first 2 Sonic movies came out, I thought that Wade was one of my favorite human characters, but after this, I still like him, but we just got way too much of him in this show. You know what I'm saying? I remember when the first rumor came out, I think it was before Sonic 2 came out, that there was rumors that there was going to be a Knuckles TV show. People were really excited for that. Like, oh yeah, maybe we'll see an origin. That's what I believed, and that's what a lot of other people believed, that it would be like an origin story with Knuckles and his tribe. However, we got another Sonic 1 situation where it was just like a road trip movie with Knuckles there and Wade there as well. But it's fine. I still had fun with the show. It was fine. In a good way. Anyway, I loved hearing how Wade's dad's left, where he would just left him in a TJ Maxx. And it did really make for a really sweet scene between Knuckles and Wade. Moving on to episode 2, this is where Wade has to save Knuckles after being kidnapped by 2 gun agents. One played by Kid Cudi, the guy who wrote that masterpiece of a song for Sonic 2. We do see Wade fantasize about how he's going to save Knuckles, which he does do quite a bit throughout the series, which does definitely get old after time. This show is definitely aimed more toward children than, my target audience. But it was okay. It was okay. And unfortunately, I don't really remember too much of this episode. I just know that Wade has to go save Knuckles, and I can't rewatch the episode because I don't have Paramount Plus anymore, sadly. But that's completely fine. But I do think that at the end of the episode, we did get introduced to Wade's mom. This then leads to episode 3, which is a pretty solid episode. One of the better ones, absolutely. Other than the fact that they introduced the worst character in the entire series, Wanda Whipple. Oh my god, I cannot stand Wanda. She stabs Wade with a fork at one point, which stays in his skin. Like, that's like if I took, this phone charger, I stabbed it into myself, and I let go, and it didn't move. Like, oh my gosh, I get some sibling rivalry, but holy cow, that is taking it to a whole new level. And I remember in episode 6, when Wanda and their mom were kidnapped and the gun agents trying to kill Wanda, me and my sister were chanting, do it, do it, do it, do it, kind of like I Am All of Me or something like that, from the Shadow the Hedgehog solo game. And when Wade said, I am totally okay with you doing that, me and my sister were just like, yes, kill Wanda, because if you watch the show, you know. And if you didn't watch the show, I'm telling you right now, you will hate Wanda. Okay, time to stop ranting about Wanda. And on to the rest of the episode. In the part where those two random dudes broke into Wade's mom's house was also really fun because we got to see an action scene where everyone got their chance to shine a little bit. And especially Knuckles. Oh my goodness. Like, I know with the TV show, they definitely don't get as high a budget as movies do. You know, especially when they're taking like a TV show in the same universe as a movie. And shows almost always don't look as good as movies, like, at all. But with this series right here, the CGI is perfectly up to scale with the movies. Like, if you watch some of the episodes and the action scenes, you will know that the action is beautiful, and so is the CGI. Like, that stuff is really, really cool. Because, you know, from a TV show, the budget isn't great. That's why they couldn't get, like, James Marsden back. And that's why they could only get, like, you know, Sonic, Tails, Maddie. They could only be in one episode because, you know, the budget was so low and they couldn't, you know, give them the money they needed. They had to use it on Knuckles and the CGI and everything, which they did a beautiful job with. I really do appreciate that in the series. And that thing makes me a lot more forgiving for the fourth episode, the next one. This is definitely the most controversial episode. It's the one where Wade is kidnapped and Patrick Mac mentally takes him to the bowling alley from the end of episode 1. And they recreate how Knuckles got the Flames of Disaster in the form of a musical where Wade is playing Knuckles and Iblis, yes, Iblis, is a giant puppet. Now, lots of people think that this episode is weird and way too childish. But I actually like this episode. Yeah, I said it. And they found a really, really creative way to implicate this story into an episode without Knuckles and with the lower budget that the show was given. Massive credit to them. Like, obviously the CGI that they did use was great, but the stuff that was all practical and, you know, in the musical world, that was really, really fun to watch. I actually really liked it. Also, I find it funny how they portrayed Iblis as a giant puppet. It was funny. And bringing Patrick Mac back was really cool as well. Moving on to episode 5, this is probably where the series is at its lowest. This episode and the 6th episode, unfortunately. We get more of the two gun agents, plus that one guy that I thought was Gerald when the trailer came out. Oh yeah, that one old guy. I completely forgot about him. Like, he knew a ton about Knuckles, and he also works for Dr. Robotnik, which is weird because I thought that Robotnik only had Agent Stone as an employee/assistant, and I thought that he was loyal to our Lord and Savior, Agent Stone, but nope, he had more employees, and one of them happened to be this dude, whose villain name I had to look up for this video. His name is The Buyer. What? This gotta be the lamest name I've ever heard for a villain. Like, what the heck does The Buyer mean? Like, if it's in Sonic lore, please correct me in the comments, okay? No spoilers for Sonic 3. Anyway, but yeah, please correct me in the comments if The Buyer is important in the Sonic lore, but if not, I am very confused by this guy. Anyway, we find out that the bowling champion that Wade is about to go up against in the bowling tournament actually ends up being his father that left him, which that reveal was actually pretty cool, I must say. And I talked about how Wade's mom and Wanda got kidnapped, but I didn't talk about how the gun agents almost kidnapped Knuckles again. They basically told Wade that if they didn't kill Wanda... Oh, wait, no, I talked about that. I talked about the part where, you know, that basically if you don't bring us Knuckles, they kill Wanda. And then he was like, oh, yeah, go for it. And then he was like, all right, I'm killing your mom. And then he was like, no. So, yeah, he brought Knuckles to the gun agents in this episode. And eventually it ends right before Knuckles could get to the gun agents. And episode 6, the final episode, kicks off with Knuckles arriving there, and it is revealed that Wade actually told Knuckles the entire plan through an AirPod that Knuckles had in his ear. We get to see Knuckles fight the gun agents, which was also really cool to see. You know, I love the action in this show. It's probably the strongest point of the show, in my opinion at least. At the end of this show, we see Knuckles about to fight the Buyer, and Wade is about to compete in the bowling championship, going up against his father. And after Wade beats his dad, he was about to win the trophy, but instead he went to help Knuckles defeat the Buyer. And at this point in the series, Knuckles had his Flames of Disaster that he used against the Buyer, which, okay, I didn't explain this earlier, but if you didn't know, it's basically Knuckles can control his whether or not his hands can catch on fire, which is really, really cool. And this was explained more in episode 4, how he defeated Iblis, and then he got Flames of Disaster. That was, like, kind of his reward, sort of. So, yeah. Anyways, then Wade's dad tries to get the trophy since at that point he thought that, you know, maybe Wade just forfeited and he just wins automatically. But then the fight ends up going to the bowling room, and in the end, Wade ends up getting the trophy. And then the announcers, yeah, there were announcers during this whole thing. They mentioned that this happened 50 years ago, which that can only mean one thing. My boy, Shadow, they got him. Which, that reveal at the end, that got me so excited. I was like, It's Shadow! It's Shadow, Charlotte! It's Shadow! It's Shadow! It's Shadow! It's 50 years ago, it's Shadow! Shadow was locked away 50 years ago! 50 years ago, Shadow, Shadow, Shadow! So, yeah. Overall, I do, think that the show has quite a few problems. You know, being way too childish, like, cranking the humor up especially from the first two movies. But I really do appreciate, the fact that they made the show, you know, explaining Knuckles' flame to disaster, giving Wade some more character, which, I mean, got a bit too much at times, but that's completely fine. So, yeah, I'm glad it exists, and I'll give it a 6 out of 10, or a 4.75 out of 7 on the Critically Insane score. Come back, for the big one tomorrow. My Sonic 3 review. Don't worry, it won't have any spoilers. I said this in my last two reviews, but I'm saying it again. 0 spoilers in the Sonic 3 review tomorrow. But I will make a separate review where I do go into spoilers, like a couple days after Sonic 3 review is out. So, yeah, I will give you, like, multiple warnings. Oh, yeah, there's gonna be spoilers in this review when that does come out in a few days. I haven't made it yet, obviously, when I recorded and stuff in a few days. So, yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow with Sonic 3 review. Bye!